For Monday, December the 9th, 2024. I'll call the meeting to order and ask for the roll call, please.
Councilmember Abdelgawad.
Here.
Councilmember Baker.
Present.
Councilmember Barber absent. Councilmember Burke.
Present.
Councilmember Circo.
Present.
Councilmember Ingert.
Here.
Councilmember Holman.
Present.
Councilmember Mills.
Present.
Mayor Turnbow.
Present. We have a quorum. Would you please rise and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. We have no presentations or personal appearances tonight, so I'll turn it over to Mr. Fearborn for staff reports.
Thank you, sir. I would ask Mr. Gress to make a staff report for Development Services.
Thank you, sir. Mayor and Council, in your packet this evening was a written report. A couple of things to highlight. Building permit activity, we did issue 12 additional permits last month. We had the first round of permits issued for the Madison Valley subdivision. So finally got all their infrastructure wrapped up and ready to start doing some site work up there for building, which will be good to see. The parking lot, some other infrastructure continues there at the multi-tenant building next to Scooters and the car wash. I can finally share now since they finally have filed the permit, but we did get plans for an Einstein Brothers Bagels, which will be an anchor tenant there on the other end of that shopping center right there. So still a lot of work to be done on the actual shell of the building, but we did review their permit and give them some feedback on that project, so it'll be good to see. We met today with Chick-fil-A. They are currently scheduled to open on January 9th. Tentatively, but that was their hard date that they gave us this morning. We met with them to kind of go over some questions related to traffic. So got a couple of thoughts from them to kind of meet with our police department and get some thoughts together on how to best handle their traffic. So stay tuned for some information on that. A couple business openings or things to expect here in the next couple of weeks. In November, we did issue the certificate of occupancy for Wild Bill's Tobacco, which is located right there in the shopping center next to Whataburger. We are their first location, I think, outside of Michigan, which is the area they're kind of based out of. So they had a very quick tenant finish for that project and are finally open. And then the Baskin-Robbins Ice Cream, which is located also in the Braemar Galleria at 313 Dean Avenue. They are scheduled to have their final inspections done this month and hopefully opening maybe in January or sometime after the holidays. So a good reuse of that space that was vacant for quite a while. So a lot of good things going on in December. Any questions that the council has, I'm happy to answer.
Thank you, Mr. Gress. Anyone have any questions or comments? All right, thank you. Mr. Fearborn.
Thank you, Mr. Gress. I would ask Chief Wilson to make a report.
Evening, Mayor and Council. I'd like to give an update on the stop signs that were placed at Creekmore and Kettering. Since November 15th through December 3rd, officers have been in the area conducting traffic enforcement 42 times. Of those 42 times, 38 traffic stops were conducted with 5 citations and 33 warnings. I think the folks in that area are getting familiar with the stop signs now, and I will be reporting again here in a couple more months to see where we're at. Recently, I spoke about Shop with the Cop. I didn't give the council the date or the time. It's going to be the 19th of December. We're going to be over at Centerview at 5:30. And that will run until the last child is back shopping. Sometimes that's not till 10. It makes for a very long but fun evening. Also, the mayor brought up several weeks back about holiday tip. So I thought it would be add a few more to his one tip. You can also find these tips on the National Neighborhood Watch .org website. But some of the tips, the main one, don't leave valuables in your vehicle. I know right now everybody's doing Christmas shopping. Please hide whatever you're buying. Try not to leave them in the car, but if you're going to leave them in the car, hide the items. Also, remember to park your vehicle in lit areas if you're going to go to the big stores, big box stores, and that way you're always in the light. Know your surroundings. Don't leave your car unlocked. Don't leave your garage unlocked. Hopefully, if you leave your garage unlocked, you will be getting a knock on the door in the wee hours of the morning by one of my officers, but hopefully don't expect that. So please shut your garage doors. There's many more safety tips online. I would encourage everyone to get online and take a look at those. The last one I'm gonna lead with, everybody's been watching the news lately, and they've seen the porch pirates. That's what they seem to be titling them all across the metro. If you're going to have boxes or items shipped to your residence, please try to get those off the porches as quick as you can. And that is my report this evening.
Thanks, Chief. Anyone have any questions for the chief? Okay, Mr. Fearborn. Thanks, Chief.
Thank you, Chief. A reminder to the council, we do have a work session next week. We will be following up with our discussion from last week and giving the council suggested ballot language for a future sales tax issue, as well as some more detail relative to those items. Very proud tonight to announce that this past Friday, I was able to attend the graduation from Kansas University Certified Public Manager Program. The city actually has, as you all know, that is a very intense one-year program. We have had past graduates in it. This particular time, we had 3 graduates of the program. Ms. Jordan Lee, Mr. Mustine, and Todd Brennan from our park supervisor were all graduates this year. And interestingly enough, we had 2 former graduates who were recognized for distinction in the program from their ongoing educational process, involvement with the city, programs that they're doing with the city. And that was Ms. Williams, Finance Director, and Chief Wilson within that program. So very proud of all of them. Again, as I have said to the council, it's my insidious way of slowly getting all of my management team to be KU graduates in one form or another. Chief Wilson, we're very proud of, has been named to the board for the Metro Squad. Another item, the city has once again received notice from GFOA last week that we are being recognized for excellence in financial reporting. That particular one, this is the 14th year in a row that we have had that one. We continue to also be recognized for excellence in budgetary reporting through GFOA. So very proud of our finance department and all the hard work that goes into that. And kind of dovetailing into that, I can report that the auditors are currently in doing their initial field work for last year's audit. That concludes staff report. Happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Mr. Fearborn. Congratulations to staff for their certificates and recognition in their appointments. That's awesome. Anybody have any questions for Mr. Fearborn? Okay. We'll move on from staff reports then to our next item, which is the consent agenda. We have a couple of items on there. Item B has several resolutions regarding appointments to boards and commissions this evening. And I won't go through those. I'll let the nominator make those. So we'll I'd entertain a motion to dispose of the consent agenda or portions thereof.
Mr. Mayor,
Mr. Holman.
sir, I move that we approve the consent agenda as presented to include item A, city council meeting minutes from the November 25th, 2024 meeting, and item B, board and commission appointments to include resolution 2435, art commission reappointment of Gary Graves, resolution 2436, planning and zoning commission reappointment of Lauren Shanks, resolution 2437, planning and zoning commission appointment of Aaron Harrison, resolution 2438, park board reappointment of Patrick Keys, resolution 2439, park board reappointment of Joshua Collier, resolution 2440, park board reappointment of Christopher Scott, and resolution 2441, board of adjustment appointment of Todd Burke. And I think that's all, sir.
All right. Thank you very much. Is there a second?
Yes, sir, I'll second.
Thank you, Ms. Abdelgawad. Motion's been made and seconded to approve the consent agenda. I'd ask if there's further discussion, but I do believe do we have just the one candidate? Mr. Burke is here in the audience this evening with us. Is being nominated for the Board of Adjustment appointment. I don't think we have any of the other candidates here with us this evening. If there's no further discussion, all those in favor of the motion? Motion carries unanimously, 7-0. We'll now move on to unfinished business. Could I please have the second reading of Bill 3930 by title only?
The second reading of Bill 3930 by title only, an ordinance of the City of Raymore, Missouri, amending the zoning map from R1 Single Family Residential District to PUD Planned Unit Development District, and approving the Whitetail Run Preliminary Development Plan, a 185.78 acre tract of land located south of 195th Street, east of Elk Drive in Raymore, Cass County, Missouri.
Thank you. If there are no further questions, I'll entertain a motion to dispose of this item. Mr. Holman.
Mayor. I move that we approve Bill 3930, the Whitetail Run PUD rezoning and preliminary plan.
Thank you, sir. Is there a second?
Yes, sir, I'll second.
Thank you, Ms. Abdul-Gawad. Motion been made and seconded to approve the second reading of Bill 3930. Any further discussion? Mr. Baker.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Obviously, with what was said last week, I do have some comments to explain why I voted last week and why I'm going to vote this way. I did want to bring to the attention, and maybe this can be asked, I didn't quite get in on the question part, but on the MOU, do we have a signed copy of the MOU currently as before we vote tonight?
Last week's, 2 weeks ago, the applicant brought it with them, but they left before the meeting was over, so I did not grab it. Spoke with the applicant this morning, and they did bring it with them this evening, so we do have it signed in hand.
Okay. With that being said, then, I kind of want to go over some points here. Obviously, this has generated a lot of concern with the constituents in Ward 1. With that being said, I just want to say I think we should reconsider what we're doing here. The PUD is something that we use to help developers with developments, but it's also in exchange for latitude within the city beyond our code. The point about the MOU, following our code, clearly states that the MOU should have been signed and presented to the city council in the packet from last week. So we all were voting on something that we did not have a signed copy of, and I think that we need to go by our rules if we're going to utilize the process and go further in that. Our job as city council people is to represent our constituents, which what I take very seriously, that those of us that voted no on this, Councilman Mills and myself, have spent time listening to our constituents on this particular issue. One of my counterparts up here who voted yes had a quote of, we need to put the brakes on some of these developments. I think we need to consider one of the top questions in our employee survey of 2023, concern of our citizens of this city that need to be addressed by staff and us in the next 2 years was traffic issues in the city. By putting in developments of 500 or more homes in 2 parts of the city that we're utilizing a traffic study that's nearly 20 years old is only going to create more headache and potentially create more negative responses to city surveys going down the road with construction and planning and therefore. So I have concerns about this project from day one. I mean, we're taking on 20 acres of parkland and having to be responsible for that, but we cannot even work with our residents to get a buffer and berm built in for fear of how much that would cost us to maintain it, although that would be much smaller than 20 acres of parkland. So with that being said, I will be voting no on this tonight. I urge my counterparts to vote their will, but I am voting the will of my constituents. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Any further discussion? Mr. Holman.
We did get a copy of the MOU. It may not have been signed, but I know we got it after the fact. I had a copy, so pretty sure we saw it.
Okay. Any further discussion? Mrs. Abdul-Gawad.
I'll just add one other piece, kind of thinking through some of the things that Councilman mentioned. The traffic, usually on the citizen survey where there's conversation about traffic, the rest of the story is that the area that people are concerned with is traffic on 58 Highway. And both of the 2 subdivisions that I'm thinking of with over 500 people would be on the south side of town, probably using North Cass primarily, and not 58 Highway to access those residents. So I understand there are some traffic concerns by the people who live out there, but I don't think those are the same traffic concerns that are addressed by our citizens in our citizen survey results. Thank you.
Anyone else? Mr. Baker?
I will say that, trying to think ahead, and in my line of work, we're always thinking, months and years ahead and planning for what I do. I do think it may be the traffic study, might be people talking about 58, it might be Dean Avenue, it might be Dean and 58, which is one of our most dangerous intersections in the city. But I've spent a lot of time out on this particular road and knowing what's going in to the west of there and knowing the headaches that the traffic in the school and that's causing, there is no way. I mean, even the secondary entrance and the road improvements don't go in until the final plat. So we're gonna have to deal with many homes being built before we get even a resolution to 195th. And that may be at the point we're gonna drive everyone up on Elk as we build the subdivisions within there. So I do think it may not be related to the survey, but I definitely think this is gonna be something that we're gonna hear about as a council down the road as this project, if and when this is built out. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Mills?
And just to echo a little bit about what Councilman Baker had mentioned, 2 weeks ago, there was a motion to send it back to planning and zoning, and one of the things is to be able to have a more up-to-date traffic study. I mean, this is a major area, major impact into Ward 1, and to have a traffic study that old, I know, I feel like that we should not have made the decisions that we did without having everything available to us. I know it doesn't do us any good tonight if the council passes this, but I think it would behoove us, especially in that area in development, because there may be things that the city needs to do or change, as well as developers, that we invest or do what we need to do to have an updated traffic study now that we have the warehouses, the school bus barn over there, all the things that are going in now. I think it would be wise, I wish we would have done it ahead of time, but I think it would be wise moving forward to have a updated traffic study for that area.
Okay. Well, I would just remind the councilman in Ward 1 that there was a traffic study done. It did include a 560 housing project. It did include an industrial zone where the warehouses are going in. So it's not like it's out of date, because it was taking into consideration those things that are now occurring. So just as a reminder of that. There's nothing further. I'm going to do a roll call vote on this. Ms. Hill, could you please have the roll call?
Yes.
Councilmember Baker?
No.
Councilmember Barber? Absent. Councilmember Burke?
Yes.
Councilmember Circo?
Yes.
Councilmember Ingert?
Yes.
Councilmember Holman?
Yes.
Councilmember Mills?
No.
Motion carries 5 yes, 2 no. Okay, please have the second reading of Bill 3927 by title only.
The second reading of Bill 3927 by title only, an ordinance of the City of Raymore, Missouri, authorizing the city manager to enter into an agreement with Kissick Construction Company, Inc. for the inflow and infiltration reduction project, city project number 24-459-201, in the amount of $76,000, and authorizing the city manager to approve change orders within established budget constraints.
Thank you, ma'am. If there are no further questions on this, I'd entertain a motion to dispose of this item.
Your Honor.
Mr. Oldman.
Sir, I move that we approve Bill 3927, the award of contract for the 2024 inflow and infiltration project.
Thank you, sir. Is there a second?
Yes, I'll second.
Thank you, Ms. Abdul-Gawad. Motion's been made and seconded to approve the second reading of Bill 3927. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor of the motion? Motion carries unanimously, 7-0. Okay, please have the second reading of Bill 3928 by title only.
The second reading of Bill 3928 by title only, an ordinance of the City of Raymore, Missouri, approving the Cunningham at Creekmore Fourth Final Plat, lots 87 through 127, and Tract 1, a subdivision of land located in the northeast quarter of Section 4, Township 46 North, Range 32 West, Raymore, Cass County, Missouri.
Thank you, ma'am. If there are no further questions, I'd entertain a motion to dispose of this item.
Your Honor.
Mr. Holman.
I move that we approve Bill 3928, Cunningham Fourth Final Plat.
Thank you, sir. Is there a second?
Yes, I'll second.
Thank you, Ms. Abdel-Gawad. Motion's been made and seconded to approve the second reading of Bill 3928. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor of the motion? Motion carries unanimously, 7-0. Thank you. Can I please have the second reading of Bill 3929 by title only?
The second reading of Bill 3929 by title only, an ordinance of the City of Raymore, Missouri, approving the Parkside Second Final Plat, lots 29 through 60 and tracts G through I, a subdivision of land located in the north half of the northeast quarter of Section 9, Township 46 North, Range 32 West, Raymore, Cass County, Missouri.
Thank you, ma'am. If there are no further questions, I'd entertain a motion to dispose of this item.
Your Honor.
Mr. Holman?
Sir, I move that we approve at this time Bill 3929, the Parkside Second Final Plat.
Thank you, sir. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Ms. Abdelgawad. Motion's been made and seconded to approve the second reading of Bill 3929. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor of the motion? Motion carries unanimously, 7-0.
Your Honor.
Yes.
I've just had an emergency come up. I'm going to have to ask to be recused from the remainder of the meeting this evening.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Could I please have the second reading of Bill 3932 by title only?
The second reading of Bill 3932 by title only, an ordinance of the City of Raymore, Missouri, authorizing the city manager to enter into an agreement with Constable Sanitation, Inc. for the trash and recycling services of city facilities and provide on-call roll-off service in the amount of $12,900 for 2025 with 2 one-year renewals, and authorizing the city manager to approve change orders within established budget constraints.
Thank you, ma'am. If there's no further discussion, I'd entertain a motion to dispose of this item.
Mr. Mayor,
Ms. Abdelgawad?
I move that we approve Bill 3932, the award of contract for trash and recycling services for city facilities.
Thank you, ma'am. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Mr. Burke. Motion's been made and seconded to approve the second reading of Bill 3932. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor of the motion? Motion carries unanimously, 6-0. We'll now move on to new business. Could I please have the first reading of Bill 3933 by title only?
The first reading of Bill 3933 by title only, an ordinance of the City of Raymore, Missouri, vacating a portion of the alley right-of-way located in Block 14 of the original plat of the City of Raymore, Cass County, Missouri.
Thank you, ma'am. This requires a public hearing. I'll open the public hearing at this time and ask for a staff report. I thought we were going to carry this over.
We are going to be carrying this over. I'm looking at Mr. Zer to ask about opening the public hearing, sir.
Yeah, I believe we're going to open the public hearing and then have the public hearing continued so we don't have to republish.
Okay?
Very good. And at this time, I'll ask Mr. Gress to make a report.
Okay.
Thank you, sir. Mayor and council, I'll keep the report brief since we're, unless you wish for me to elaborate on it tonight, but I think typically we give the bulk of the report when the public hearing is going to happen. But I will give a little background as to the reason for the continuance tonight. This is a joint application between two residents in Original Town with abutting properties surrounding the alley easement in question, or alley right-of-way. The Planning and Zoning Commission was originally scheduled to review this application on November 19th of last month. We met, and we were very close to not having a quorum for that meeting. Due to the lack of attendance at that actual meeting, the applicant did request that it be continued to the December 3rd meeting to where a more full commission could be present. So we did meet last week and had the Planning and Zoning Commission meeting, conducted the public hearing. It did receive a recommendation to proceed forward. Following the conclusion of that meeting, the applicant approached staff and let them know that she would also be out of town for tonight's meeting and was going to request a continuance for the application as well until the next council meeting so she could be back in town. The other item there that it gives staff more time to type up the minutes from the Planning and Zoning Commission meeting. Typically with hearings, we like to push those out a little further so we can compile the minutes from the Planning and Zoning Commission meeting for the council to consider. So the continuance of this meeting to December 23rd would allow staff to finish those minutes and publish them within the packet at your next regular meeting. That would conclude my staff report for the time being, unless there are any specific questions from the council.
Okay. Any questions of staff at this time? If not, I'd entertain a motion to continue this item to the next regularly scheduled meeting.
Mr. Mayor,
Ms. Abdelgawad?
I move that we continue item Bill 3933 and keep the public hearing open until our next meeting on December 23rd.
Thank you very much. Is there a second?
Yes, sir. I'll second.
Thank you, Mr. Burke. Motion's been made and seconded for continuance of Bill 3933. Any further discussion? And we will keep the public hearing open at that meeting as well. Hearing none, all those in favor of the motion? Motion carries unanimously 6-0. Is carried over. Could I please have the first reading of Bill 3926 by title only?
The first reading of Bill 3926 by title only, an ordinance of the City of Raymore, Missouri, authorizing the city manager to enter into an agreement with Terry Snelling Construction, Inc. for the Operations Haul-Off Project, City Project Number 25-007, in the amount of $30,000, and authorizing the city manager to approve change orders within established budget constraints.
Thank you, ma'am. Is there a staff report?
Thank you, Your Honor. I'd ask Mr. Salisbury to make a report on this agenda item.
Thank you, Mr. Fearborn. Tonight before you is the award of contract for the Operations Debris Haul-Off Project. There's a area about 23,000 square feet behind the Public Works building that is just built up of about 15 years worth of debris. It's too much for our guys to get caught up, so we're gonna have Terry haul it off this year if it's approved. And then our plan is to haul it off every year so we can keep up with it ourselves. That concludes my staff report.
All right, sir. Any questions of staff at this time? Yes, Mr. Baker.
Just out of curiosity, where does this stuff come from, and could we do a plan where we don't let it get so far?
Yes, that's our plan now. Once we get caught up, we're gonna start hauling it off every year. It's mostly from water breaks, repairs they make. They dump the concrete, they dump the asphalt, stuff like that, so.
Anyone else? If not, I'd entertain a motion to dispose of this item.
Mr. Mayor,
Ms. Abdelgawad.
I move that we approve Bill 3926, award of contract for Operations Haul-Off Project.
Thank you, ma'am. Is there a second?
Mr. Mayor,
Ms.
I'll
Burke.
I'll second.
Thank you, sir. Motion has been made and seconded to approve the first reading of Bill 3926. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor of the motion? Motion carries unanimously, 6-0. Thank you. Could I please have the first reading of Bill 3934 by title only?
The first reading of Bill 3934 by title only, an ordinance authorizing the mayor of the City of Raymore, Missouri to enter into an intergovernmental cooperative agreement with the City of Belton, Missouri and Mason Banks for the provision of extraterritorial water services.
Thank you, ma'am. Is there a staff report?
Thank you, sir. I'd ask Mr. Zur to make a staff report on this agenda item.
Thank you, Mr. Fearborn. Mayor, members of the council, before you with Bill 3934 is a proposed intergovernmental agreement between the City of Belton, Missouri, the City of Raymore, and Mr. Mason Banks, who is attempting to develop a portion of his property that is not sufficiently close to Belton's current water line extensions. It is easier for the Raymore water access to be able to access this property in order for us to be able to service the property outside of our jurisdictional boundaries and into the City of Belton. It requires this intergovernmental agreement. It's been crafted for purpose to be able to provide this service, to avoid potential liability, and to arrange for the arrangements between the City of Belton and the City of Raymore for future service. That would conclude my report. I'm happy to answer questions.
So where's the City of Belton on the agreement?
They have already approved the agreement.
Oh, they have? Okay.
And the purpose of having an agreement like this in place is because, as the council who was here at the time will remember, what we want to avoid is encroaching into another water district without something formally in place. We do have a history of doing that based on a verbal and a signed agreement that was not filed correctly, and we had a little bit of litigation associated with that when the water district in question changed their mind. Slightly different, but wanted something pretty formal in place between us and Belton. As the council will note, a significant portion of this is working with Belton should and when they decide that they want to be providing water services to this area, that we have that in place and memorialized with this as well. We do this at other locations. In fact, all the way north to 155th Street on the other properties on the west side. And formally, we actually did it with the City of Kansas City on the north side of 155th Street for two properties that were up there. So there is a history with this particular item. That concludes staff reports.
Thank you, sir. Anybody else have any questions of staff? If there are no further questions, I'd entertain a motion to dispose of this item.
Mr. Mayor,
Ms. Abdelgawad.
I move that we approve Bill 3934, the intergovernmental cooperative agreement for water services with Belton.
Thank you, ma'am. Is there a second?
Mr. Mayor, I'll second.
Thank you, Mr. Burke. Motion's been made and seconded to approve the first reading of Bill 3934. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor of the motion? Motion carries unanimously, 6-0. Thank you. We'll now move on to public comments. If anyone from the public would like to address the council at this time, please step forward, state your name and address for the record, and try to keep your comments to 5 minutes or less. Seeing no one come forward, I'll close the public comment section and move on to the mayor council communications, and I'll just go straight across the dais this evening. Mr. Mills, go ahead.
I'll just, again, congratulations to staff for their graduation there at their city management program there at KU. And again, thank you, the chief and the police department, the shop with a cop, and as many things as we can do with the kids in the community so that they can have respect for our law enforcement is always a good thing. And again, I just wish everybody happy holidays and Merry Christmas. And this is a great time of reaching out and helping each other and giving to people and stepping up with causes. And so I encourage our residents to, to be open to that as they see needs arise, be willing to step in and help during this holiday season.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Burke.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Today, when I saw that, or when I saw that Einstein Bagels was coming, I texted my wife. Because when we first met, we worked at Central Middle School in Kansas City, and like her third day of work, she said, "I'll bring bagels for the whole staff." And I was already trying to figure out how I was going to arrange to start dating this woman, but anyway, she came in with trash bags full of bagels from Einstein Bagels. And so, of course, I helped her carry them up the 3 flights of stairs, and that began what led us to Raymore. So she was very kind of happy. We don't really go there, but I think we will.
The circle is complete, man.
Yeah.
There you go. Yeah. Mr. Ingert.
I have a quick question for Mr. Fearborn.
Okay.
Do you know of any other jurisdiction our size that has the number of quality employees that go to KU and to do these kind of things?
I do, sir. There are none. Because in this particular program takes a great deal of commitment. To get the distinction over and above it is even more so. It is truly a sign of commitment and dedication and loyalty on the part of these employees who are going through this program. It's a tough one.
I just made my point. Thank you.
Well, thank you, sir. Ms. Abdelgawad.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'll just take a quick minute to recognize our volunteers that we appointed and reappointed to several different boards and commissions. Those people are volunteers, and so just a quick shout out to all of those volunteers that help our city run smoothly with the time they spend on those boards. We appointed 7 tonight by my count. And quick question as I finish, do we still have any openings, Mr. Mayor?
We do. Mr. Fearborn, you want to outline those? We have several more.
We still have 2 in parks.
2 in parks, yeah. Wards 3 and 4.
We have 1 on the Arts Commission, and we will be having another one on Board of Appeals? Board of Adjustment. We will have 2.
Okay.
So just to wrap up, if anyone's interested in serving on any of those boards or commissions, the volunteer application is on our website, raymore.com. And just a little side note, I noticed all the people we appointed tonight are men, so highly encourage some women to step up and hold our spots on those boards. Thank you, sir.
Good point. Thank you very much. Mr. Circo.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Yes, again, on the volunteers, it's great. When you volunteer, I started out with the board of, where Mr. Burke is at, but anyway, adjustments. But these are good. Everybody needs to be involved and get a hold of these things, the parks, whatever it be, because you see how the interests of the city run on different things. It's good to be part of those boards, talking about it, voting with the boards to come to us. It's so important. Chief Wilson, Metro Squad, fantastic. Thank you. Well, it's It's a great honor that you get to the Metro Scott. I know you do great. Staff did a great job again. You always do a great job. All the staff, what you do, keep on going to your training. You keep on getting better at what you do, which makes this city a cut above the other cities. Because I think we do a lot more of that than most cities do. So that's always good. And let's see, I think pretty good. I think that's a wrap.
Mr. Baker?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. First, I want to congratulate, like my counterparts have, to everyone that graduated from the KU program. It's always good when you graduate from KU and you're part of a Jayhawk legacy. I want to also thank the Park Department, communication staff, and really city staff for setting up the mayor's Christmas tree. My wife and I were there Friday night. We saw the mayor and his wife, Mr. Fearborn, was there. It was a perfect night, big crowd, just the free hot chocolate, the free coffee, it just fire pits going. It really was a good atmosphere that night. Couldn't have asked for a better really feel for that. The timing was perfect. The tree came on right at 0. It's an awesome looking tree. So those that haven't seen that, I think staff did a great job. I was looking, I have a big tree in my backyard, not nearly like that, but just to set that up, that's got to be, you know, a work of art to get that just right. So, and then all the trees from the sponsors or the participants around that, the companies and the departments and all that. It's a really neat thing to do each year, and I look forward to going to it each year on that. So good job, everyone who's involved in that. And then lastly, I just want to say thank you to the citizens who actually voiced their concerns on whitetail. I know that was something that we may not see often or how it was approached up here, but I do think it's something that I want to really thank them for being part of it, because a lot of times I think people get frustrated with processes, and hopefully that shows that citizens do have voices and they are listened to, and that we need to listen to them, and that's our job up here as city council members, is listen to our constituents and then act accordingly. So thank you.
Thank you, sir. Sure, Mr. Circle, go ahead.
You guys have run me to death on this KU stuff tonight. You know, I'm a big MU guy, so you guys are beating me up. But let's remember Saturday how MU Tigers beat those KU Jayhawks #1. Let's not forget that. Okay.
I have nothing to add this evening to what has been said. Great comments by all, and a kudos to our team here. So I do know that we have a reason to go into executive session, so I would entertain a motion to go into executive session.
Mr. Mayor,
Ms. Abdelgawad.
I move that we move into executive session to discuss, I believe, all 3 items: personnel, litigation, and real estate.
Thank you, ma'am. Is there a second?
Mr. Mayor, I'll second.
Thank you, Mr. Burke. Motion's been made and seconded to go into executive session. Could I have the roll call, please?
Councilmember Abdelgawad?
Yes.
Councilmember Baker?
Yes.
Councilmember Barber absent. Councilmember Burke?
Yes.
Councilmember Circo?
Yes.
Councilmember Ingert?
Yes.
Councilmember Holman absent. Councilmember Mills?
Yes.
We have the motion is 6-0 to move into executive session. When we complete executive session, we'll come back to open session to adjourn from the regular meeting.